Hey everyone, Scott Solari and with Viral Marketing, and we're here with another Hangout with the Keller Williams Carmel Valley office, and I'm interviewing one of the top realtors there, Gabriel Palmroth. Gabriel, thank you so much for being here. I'm really excited about this interview because you got a really cool story, man. I think there's going to be some really good educational pieces here that a lot of realtors that watch this will be able to take and maybe apply into their business.
Thank you, Scott, for having me. I'm very excited to be here.
So why don't we just start off, man, and tell me a little bit about, overall, let's just tell the audience, what happened, and then we're going to kind of go deep into everything that happened along the way in order for you to be successful with this transaction that we're going to be talking about today.
Well, the reason we're talking today is because I managed to sell a home for a major A-list celebrity who was in Los Angeles at the time, where I was a realtor in San Diego. I had yet done a transaction in Los Angeles. I had been trying to raise some financing for some developments in certain parts of Los Angeles, so I knew certain parts of it. Although I ran into the manager of French Montana, a rapper, and he tells me that he's been looking for a house for many years, for up to 2 years, I think, and he's working with all these top guys in Los Angeles. So clearly I am not on any of these levels at this point, right? I'm a little guy from San Diego. I'm talking to this big time manager. So I'm telling him, if you're looking with a realtor for 2 years and you yet haven't found a home, something must be wrong. And I tell him, I don't know Los Angeles as well as many of the top guys up there do at this point, but I have been doing some developments, so I have a different approach to the market. I can come up and help you out. So I went up to Los Angeles and I just dove into this and pretty much learned the whole the market in the price range they were looking in about 2 weeks. I just
So that's what I was going to ask you. I was going to ask you, like, going into a new market, like what approach do you take, Gabriel? Because I think it's really interesting, man. Like, especially if you haven't worked in that market before, especially at that price point. I mean, what was the approach? What did you start to do? Tell us a little bit about that.
It's starting out in real estate. Everyone's telling me, because I was always into the high-end market in the beginning, and I started in San Diego, and it was still, the higher end of the market in San Diego is a little slower, right? And the commissions weren't really the size that I was looking for. There wasn't the action I wanted. So I had my sights on Los Angeles. And then as soon as I got an opportunity, right, I decided that this is my time to buy it down. So knowing real estate pretty well and the fundamentals of the investment side and the numbers game of it, I decided that I can learn value very easily. I have easy to recognize value in the market. So what I did was I drove up to Los Angeles. I sat down on the MLS and I pretty much scoured it for listings, and I looked through all the listings I could find pretty much. And then I wrote down what I thought was interesting. It took 2-3 weeks of my life, and I drove around the neighborhoods and I learned the comps and I learned the neighborhood values. And I honestly got a better sense for the market in Los Angeles almost than in San Diego, because I got so efficient for so short amount of time, and it was so intense in all these numbers, right? So I got a very good sense for it quickly.
That's awesome. So, he's looking for a home for 2 years. Obviously, you're putting all these comps and potential, homes that are listed in front of him to present, right, at some point, and doing this in 3 weeks when this other realtor couldn't do in 2 years. So, like, what was your unique sales proposition? Like, what did you explain to the agent and then to French Montana, like, that you were going to bring to the table in order to get in front of them,
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't really sell anyone, because selling is the one thing I knew that everyone had been doing, to these guys a lot. These guys, they meet, man, this is working with these guys to get to see a different world. When you start, now I have several celebrity clients and leads. It just comes falling to me. But back then, it's like meeting with these people. They have a very different, perspective of reality, right? Because everywhere they go, everyone knows who they are. Everyone is trying to sell them. Everyone wants something all the time, right?
Right. Everyone wants a piece, right?
Everyone wants their piece. And to these guys, I mean, I don't know, I am this small town guy. I don't know myself, but I just spending time with these guys, I noticed very well that you get fed up with this very fast. So, and rather than the way you might push a first-time home buyer who's a little insecure if this is the right decision to get a mortgage, in this situation, you push the real benefits for him, right? And you explain the situation a little bit, and you have to take a step back, because these guys have full teams of people to make the decisions. So you have to be very, very careful, balance a very fine line with anything you sell. Even the benefits, I would say that I hold back a lot more in this situation than we do in other situations.
Got it. Got it. Got it. So you're up there 2 to 3 weeks. You hunker down. You identify a ton of listed properties. Take us from there. What'd you do next?
Well, I just first of there. I mean, first 2-3 weeks was just learning the market because I knew these guys. They wanted to invest a little for my own developments for high-end residential homes. So for them it was two things they were looking for. Once there, they wanted to invest a little and they wanted to buy a home. Normally when people say they want to do both, you kind of realize they probably don't know what they want, right? So I was thinking they want to develop and then they want to dream home at the same time, which is the opposite, because then you're looking at numbers and then you're looking at emotions and what you want to live in, right? A great space for you. So I started kind of immediately just finding certain areas that I thought had good value. I thought if you buy here, you can get, when it comes to 5-10 years down the road, if you remodel a little bit and add square footage, are you going to get your money back and maybe a little more? And that was what I was looking at. And specifically, I was looking at good returns. And this is what I started. And I got more and more good homes for them, and they didn't like anything. And this is, I showed them everything pretty much they asked me for, right? They were asking me for certain features, and I brought it to them. And I realized, wait a minute, these guys are telling me one thing, and they have no clue what they want. They're telling me the opposite of what they really want. And that's why this other guy hasn't been able to help for 2 years. So I was like, okay, I'm not going to listen to them anything at all anymore. Whatever they say for what they want, right? I don't take that. Instead, I look at what do they want? What do I think they want? And I looked at the way I was listening to his lyrics and his music, and I was thinking, these guys, what do they do? And I was like, okay, I brought them to property. And honestly, the one we put in escrow, it's a funny story, actually. I come over there, we're going to go and take a look at this home, and they're so resistant that I'm calling the listing agent and canceling the appointment on the way there because they hate it so much and so much wrong with everything. And then we get there, it turns out to be the one anyways. I mean, I did push, I was persistent very much because these guys, man, I had, sometimes I would have showings and I would drive up from San Diego to Los Angeles and I would sit there for 2 hours, no one shows up, and I do that 3 days in a row. And because they had, overlapping time in the studio or whatever. And these things, it's to me, I was like, okay, I understand this is not, the optimal thing for me, wasting my time. But at the same time, these guys, I get in this circle and I'm going to get a lot of publicity. I get a lot of good business from this afterwards. So it's worth it. Pretty much all my colleagues and friends that have seen me work for this deal, I think all in all, it took me about, from the first day to we got it up in escrow, I think 3 months. So it took me some time, and there was very dark moments, right? And most people told me that this was impossible, and I said, why would they use you and all this? Me and being in Radio San Diego and fairly inexperienced. And I would say then to realtors listening out there is that so one thing that was not true, it was what everyone else told me to do, and that was, I guess, that's what I was doing. I didn't do what people told me to do. I just told myself that this has to work. This is what I want. I'm gonna make it happen. And I, more than focused on closing the deal, I focused on really getting my client something that's going to be of amazing future value. So he won't be able to not recommend me to his friends. Right now, the deal that we closed for him is, if you look at the tax records, it's significantly higher than the amount we closed for, so much higher than anything. I had never seen anything like it before. So, I did my job, that part, very well. And I know he's very happy in his house. So it paid off in the end, and my reputation here in Los Angeles is pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, it's awesome, man. And I guess my question is what happened? How were you able to make the connection with him when I'm sure he had gone to so many different houses. What was the final moment where you're able to where he was able to identify with what you were trying to show him and explain to him, and where he finally loved the house that you got him into and obviously made the purchase happen?
Well, we came to a point where I found pretty much all the features of the home that he was looking for originally, right? The things that he said he wanted before we started talking too much in details. So the rough stuff, we got all that in, and then I found amazing value and the location he was looking for. And I feel like we had everything here, and I laid it out so much, because in the end they were very resistant. And I said that the value of this property is such that I cannot find you anything else, and I don't know if anyone else can. where we can get a better deal in this market. And holding off anymore more now is just going to cost you a bunch of money, and you're losing out at this point. And I took a step back. I didn't hear anything for a couple of days, and then we wrote an offer.
Nice. So a little bit of pulling away and letting them.
Yeah, I mean, I noticed
resonate on it.
In this situation, they were very sensitive, these guys, to me putting pressure, and I can be kind of a hard pressure guy. I can come across as a little bit pressurable. I'm very aggressive and outgoing in my approach, kind of. So I can come across a little aggressive sometimes. So to me here, I noticed very quickly that I got very much resistance from anything here, and these guys have heard it all. So I would say that I took an opinionated role. I would say in the backseat. I kept my opinions and stuff like that a little more in the backseat. I gave them numbers. I gave them feel it. It was very much leading here and very little pointing out, I would say.
Yeah. Which is a much different approach than what you're used to and what a lot of realtors are probably used to, because you have to take a different approach with most buyers or potential homeowners that aren't necessarily celebrities, right? The approach seems like it's a little bit different than normal.
Yes, I would say so. From my experience, yes, I would say so a lot.
So I want to jump back a minute for Gabriel, because I feel like how this whole thing started with you meeting the agent. A lot of people wouldn't be able to take advantage of that situation. Not advantage in a bad way, but building that relationship to kind of make this happen. So, what did you do that made this agent be like, you know what, I'm going to give this real estate agent a chance to come up from San Diego and go to LA? Like what happened with that? Because I think a lot of people, that's where they would misstep, is
right.
building that initial relationship to get their foot in the door at least.
Well, I told him quite frankly that I can get the job done and I'm interested in helping him. And I was sincere when I said it.
Yeah. Well, sincerity is a big deal sometimes.
I mean, to me, it was an opportunity. It's like when you look at life sometimes, things come to you and you look at it and you know that this is, this is for you. This is your time now, right? It's like I come to San Diego, I graduated from University of San Diego. I'm from Sweden originally. I know no one here, right? I know no one. Everyone tells you, the good agents, they have everyone in the neighborhood. So I come out here, I lived and graduated, and I know no one. So what do? I start calling expireds like crazy, expired listings, and I go after them, and I have very little success. And I noticed immediately, though, that the most success on the phone was with the bigger the number on the listing was, because it was easier. I noticed that my confidence, like sincere, I can do this, goddammit attitude, showed through a little better with people of a higher listing price. So when this opportunity came, and him being a manager, it's like for something I need to put out in the air here. First off, that's important for other realtors considering going into high-end real estate or chasing after clients like this, is that I socialize a lot with people like this. This is I have a lot of friends from very interesting natures and backgrounds, and these are the type of people I hang around because I like these kind of people, and I've done for a long time. So it comes quite naturally for me to communicate and hang out with them. Whereas if you're more insecure around luxury and higher price points and people of higher net worths, it's going to show through, of course. So wherever you are in your life, wherever you're comfortable with, that's going to work for you. It just happened to be that this is kind of the people that I communicate well with and can relate to.
Yeah. No, I love what you said there. It's so true. Because you have to be genuine and authentic with yourself and know where you are best, and if you can identify with that, you're going to find yourself in positions and able to be successful within those situations that come up.
I would say so, yes.
Yeah. So in the end, you help French Montana buy a home. It gets picked up, right, by TMZ. So they do like a story on this or something? Tell me about that. What happened?
I don't know what happened there, bro. I'm going to be honest with Scott. It came actually out on TMZ the day before we were closing.
Oh, so it was great timing.
It was not a good thing. I don't know how it came out. Someone had been talking. It wasn't great, but I know that some people weren't happy. But What are you gonna say? You know, it came out. I think to me it's hilarious. I saw it on TMZ 2 weeks later. I hear it in a Drake song. Drake and French Montana made a rap song. I hear them rapping. They're balling out, and French Montana just bought Selena's house. And Drake is neighbors with the guys also. They all live out there, so they're making this song together. I'm hearing this on the radio. I'm starting laughing like, wow, one little deal, and you see your deals on the TV, on the magazine, and like my sister sees this stuff, TMZ. I never watched that stuff myself, but quite honestly with you, I don't know how I ended up there, but I did get there somewhere, and it was on LA Times. It was everywhere up here.
Yeah, that's cool, man.
Yeah, so French Montana, he's a big celebrity, and Selena Gomez, she's probably one of the biggest pop stars alive. So I guess that's probably a big reason why it could not be kept quiet.
Yeah. So I think, if you were going to take something away from this, and then obviously you must have done it, as far as he is concerned, you did an amazing job, because you have gotten referrals and been introduced to other people of this nature or a celebrity status moving forward, right? So like your whole approach and everything that you did obviously went over well, and everyone's happy with what the transaction. So if you had to step back, kind of think about the whole process, what was your biggest aha from this, or what you took away and learned from going through this process?
Man, my biggest aha from this, I think, was that I would say that my biggest aha was that I'm on the right track. This is what I've been thinking about. I said that I was going to do this when I started in San Diego. I started working down there, and I was moving up here towards this direction, and I found my way in. I had faith in myself because I was determined to work this sector, and it worked out, right? I mean, obviously, it was a lot of, man, if I went through the details here, the stories, and how many agents have been trying to poach this guy, and how many, like, it was dirty. I wouldn't say it was pretty dirty transaction all over. Like, just being up here in the city, I learned a new city, right? New culture. Los Angeles is nothing like San Diego, and it's definitely nothing like Sweden. It's a different animal, and I have a lot of experience from negotiating. My father passed away at an early age. I took over his company, which was selling, Caterpillar machines. So for me, the whole sales and negotiating part was very strong. I just hadn't put into an application in San Diego, which was, it kind of was a little unmotivating for me in San Diego, and I didn't really know why. And now when I was up here, because selling the homes for under $1 million, I don't know, it's not really about the money, but it's about the excitement for me, the properties, the beautiful estates, and the clients you get to work with, the people you hang out with, and negotiations. That's what it's really about for me. I love that part. So for me, it was kind of like San Diego wasn't my place, and it kind of sucked my energy out. And then when I pushed towards Los Angeles, I immediately noticed, like, wow, this is what my instinct was telling me the whole time. And I listened, and it worked very well. And since then, in January now, I've been up here full time. I've been going to San Diego, done a deal or two in San Diego too. But I'm doing full time up here now, and I'm working very hard towards talent managers, and sports managers is something that's I'm newly going after also. So this is the whole market up here, and I'm very comfortable.
Gabriel, that's amazing, man, and I love what you said there, and from my perspective, just hearing you speak about it, it's you being true to yourself has kind of led you into this path, and I think that goes out for anyone listening, and identifying what you can be essentially passionate about within the real estate field, like what fits you, what's good for your personality, and what do you enjoy doing, and go after that, and you can see how it's you trusting yourself and being true to yourself is worked out glorious for you, and you're in a place where you want to be, and you're doing the work you want to do. It's
exactly, Scott. That's pretty much it. I fought, against my own will in the beginning. I kind of tried to do a spectrum of the market, like people told me to do, and what seemed easy to do. And in reality, because it looks easy from the physical standpoint, external standpoint, maybe doesn't mean that it's really the easiest for you, which it wasn't for me then, because my passion wasn't there. I wanted to go into development originally. I just needed to get a visa first. So for me, I needed to get an employment. So I didn't want to work at a big development company. I was like, I'll get my real estate license. I'll learn the market. I'll find my own way, and then I'll get working that way. And this is the approach that I'm taking. Now it's how my real estate business is growing as a sales business.
Awesome. Well, Gabriel, anything else you want to say to the audience before we call it a day, man?
Yeah, no, I think I've said everything. Is there any questions you have, Scott?
Yeah, no, that's it. I think it's I think we got some great education here, and I think this will bode really well for people that are trying to find their own path within real estate, right?
Yeah,
And
I mean, if it's one thing I should say, I think that if it's one thing I learned, like you said, it's like the only thing that made me pull through this deal was my ability to believe that I could win. It was a lot of resistance through the deal, and if I hadn't been unreasonable with my approach, it wouldn't have worked. So people should remember that maybe when they try something.
Absolutely. Gabriel, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much, Scott.
Yeah, I'm Scott Stolar with Viral Marketing, and if you're watching this and interested in learning more about what Keller Williams does, and whether you're in San Diego or LA, I know that they put in some really good training so that you can end up finding your own path like Gabriel has here. So you can reach out to them, and we'll see y'all next time.
Thank you very much.